Well, the Super Bowl came and went, Phil, and we all ignored the game and immediately watched the halftime special because that is the discourse now. We only care about halftime specials. And I'm here to say, after watching this halftime special from this Super Bowl, that we are Puerto Rican. All of us. We're not Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk lost this Super Bowl special. All right? He did. They used the same lighting and pyrotechnics from the Charlie Kirk Super Bowl special for the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show. Kid Rock wore the same jorts, all right? He wore his funeral jorts to Charlie Kirk's funeral and the end of his career, all at the same time.
Oh my God, it's a horrible thought, but you just made me realize, like, the Bad Bunny performance may have had fewer pyrotechnics than the Charlie Kirk memorial. And I'm not even saying that as a bit. That's crazy.
No, it did. Because Erica Kirk wasn't in the Bad Bunny performance, all right? That's the reason why. It was incredible. Let's just go ahead and just real fast because we're going to cover so many different things. But right now, obviously, the cultural zeitgeist of the moment is this halftime special. And the big reason why I think this is actually more important, and the bigger thing it is because the conservatives pre-complained about it. MAGA they were pre-mad. There are so many things. I can't tell you. Listen, Phil, ever since I monetized my Facebook, I have to go over there every now and then. I open up the app, and all it does is hit me with like this crazy MAGA psycho beam. And they have been pre-mad about Bad Bunny since the announcement. Because I think it was, week 3 of the NFL.
Klarna-ing their outrage. They're like, easy payments.
No, yeah, they're on buy now, rage later. They've been losing their mind. No, because they came up with so many different things. They're like, Bad Bunny, he's gonna come out there in a dress. Bad Bunny says he's gonna wear a dress. Bad Bunny's not gonna sing in English. He's a foreigner. Like they made up so many narratives in their head, and all Bad Bunny did was just be an artist and sing his extremely popular songs to an incredible beat, full of artistry while drawing a tapestry about the narrative of the island of Puerto Rico and its people and the Puerto Rican diaspora that have been spread across America due to the terrible policies of our federal government, while preaching a message that hate is not as strong as love and that we're all in this together, America. And in fact, he did say 3 English words. God bless America. He said it, and they lost their mind, and they all had to pretend instead that Kid Rock saying ball with the ball to bang, diggy, 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 said the boogie, said junk the boogie, that man, that Kid Rock, the famous poetic lyricist who said statutory is mandatory, that man was somehow more Christian and more holy than a literal heterosexual wedding. That's an actual legal heterosexual wedding that happened and then had Lady Gaga and Ricky Martin. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
But that's the thing, is everything's gotten flipped. I mean, I know that they're like the outrage and the constant victimization is very core to what the modern day Republican Party has become. But it's just, who cared? I went into this game and I cared about it for 2 reasons, right? I cared about it I was like kind of rooting for Sam Darnold because I think we've talked about it. I want success for anyone that's had the unfortunate position of being a Jets quarterback. I think they deserve everything good in the world because that is a horrible place to be. And I'm gonna, even though I don't promote the apps, I'm gonna gamble on it because I'm a little bit of a degenerate. And for some reason, a lot of people thought the Patriots had a chance, even though they had a light schedule, and the Seahawks were gonna, I knew that was gonna happen. So I was like happy to make money. Who cared? Why is it that the guys that you know that like say that they're alphas and like everything is about like, look how masculine I am, are being like the biggest beta snowflakes, just to use their fucking own terminology, about who cared? It's the halftime show in my experience, and it's not a universal one, was like, it was a way for my like wife before I got her into football to like be at this thing with me, right? So it's like she loved Rihanna in the past. She dug last night. I didn't understand a word of what happened. Didn't care. great vibes, cool visuals. There was like a little bit of old spicy white boy Philip DeFranco that when I heard Gasolina, I got a little excited.
I hopped out of my chair. I thought Daddy Yankee was about to come out. I popped out of my chair and I was like, where is he? Where is he? I literally, can I tell you just in pre-hype, my wife and I have been driving around listening to Gasolina in our car with the baby. We've actually discovered through our daycare has explained to us that my toddler loves Latin music. Like this kid is learning how to shake his hips. We're breaking generational curses down here in southeastern Pennsylvania. All right, I've never had like this is the thing that's been crazy. First thing, real fast, I do want to apologize to our listeners real fast, just because Phil talked about football way too early into the program for most of our people. They're going to be like immediately like, who's Sam Darnold? Is he a new congressman? No, he was the Seattle Seahawks quarterback. Who was yeah. But here's the thing: is this is what's so crazy. Literally, the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl. No one gives a shit. The New England Patriots got their ass handed to them. They got their shit pushed in on national television for 4 straight quarters. No one gave a fuck because we're all too busy arguing about whether or not Bad Bunny is as good as Kid Rock. I mean, come on. What are we fucking talking about here? They had Bad Bunny, Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, right? They had about 1,000 people dressed up as sugarcane. They had all of these dancers. They had references to the island of Puerto Rico, the entirety of the culture. They listed every single country in the Americas, both North and South America. They went through the entire thing. And on the other side, they had a guy named Brantley singing the saddest country song I've. The only clip I've seen of this Brantley, I think it's Brantley Gilbert. The only clip I heard, he literally was just like, I lost my dog, my missing my truck. My wife divorced me. I like Rob Schneider movies. Like that was this guy. And they're like, no, that's what we want to see. When I went through my TikTok FYP,
it was very Bo Burnham making fun of country music.
Oh, I'm pandering. Yeah, it was 100%.
No, not you. I'm saying what actually happened.
No, that's the Bo Burnham song, Phil. Wait, don't get Who's on First. It's literally called Pandering. It's a Bo Burnham song called Pandering. That's funny. That is such an incredible moment. All right. No, but there is, for me, when I was looking at my FYP, there's so many moments that I saw that were happening, and there was such a violent difference between people who actually were at Super Bowl parties and people who watched the game alone. And I think that's where the breakdown came from.
Interesting.
So when I would see people at Super Bowl parties, they were watching Bad Bunny. They're standing up. They're dancing. They're enjoying the reveals of Lady Gaga. When Ricky Martin came out, I saw so many Puerto Rican moms and grandmas just start weeping. And I want to say something. I saw Ricky Martin perform in 2024 at the Philadelphia Art Museum steps, and it was the election eve Kamala Harris campaign close rally. And Ricky Martin was there, and it was freezing. It was so cold. It was late at night. Everybody was tired. Ricky Martin came out and gave the show of a lifetime. If you ever get a chance to go see Ricky Martin live, you will get every penny worth that show. It's probably one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. And he was so incredible, and he kept the show alive. And it was crazy for me because I remember viscerally hating Ricky Martin in the early 2000s because I thought he was overplayed, but more importantly, he played at the Republican National Convention. And there was a whole, Ricky Martin was in the closet and he was playing the game, and the Republicans were like, we were trying to reach out to Latin voters, and there was that kind of a feel for it. So I always was like, fuck Ricky Martin because of that. But over time, I understood the artistry, learned his life story, learned all these different things. And then also I've seen what the Republican Party in particular has done to Puerto Rico over the last bunch of decades, and then learn the history of what the United States federal government has done to Puerto Rico over the last century. And I'm just like, whatever you got to do. That's kind of where I landed on that, of just like whatever you need to get by, because we have fucked that island over so many times. In fact, there's even a reference to it inside of there's many references to it, but the big one was the light poles.
Light poles, yeah. Which I love that Laura Loomer completely missed the point of that.
Right,
she's like, it's interesting that he. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Laura Loomer was like, it's interesting he put in light bulbs, but he didn't talk about their bad electricity grid. And it's like, that's literally what that is. Because again, the conservatives, especially MAGA, the MAGA content creators, are idiots. They are all libs of TikTok stupid. Like they're all that fucking dumb. Like just to point it out, they're all so stupid because all of them basically made it. They made the Bad Bunny halftime special appointment viewing for every liberal in the country. You were actually, if you did not watch Bad Bunny, you're MAGA. Like, there's no way around it. All right, that's just how how things are now.
But that's the thing,
inside of the culture wars.
Both things became signals to be like, this is where I stand, sort of BS. Also, I guess we were waiting for something to happen with what's his face, who was like, give me a week and you'll know where I stand on ice. I was 100%.
You thought Jelly Roll?
Jelly Roll. I was like, where's he gonna be?
Yeah, you thought Jelly Roll was gonna show up, and he'd be like, "Hey, see, here's my song about Ozempic."
Actually, connected to that, but not really connected to that. How are Kid Rock and Ricky Martin the same age? There's like an 11-month difference. So yeah, they're like technically like 1 year off, but it looks like decades. Crazy.
Well, because Kid Rock is a poser who is the son of. His dad owned multiple car dealerships, and then he grew up on an apple orchard mansion outside of Detroit,
really?
and then had to pretend that he was actually a white rapper who then pivoted to country music as he realized that younger people weren't listening to him anymore. And then, and after Joe C. died, he realized he had no cultural clout. So he was just doing drugs on a bus for a long time and heavily drinking. Until he got so mad at a transgender person, he had to shoot up a crate full of Bud Light cans.
Oh my God!
And then Ricky Martin is just has a surgeon. That's also the other part of it. Like, there's no way Ricky Martin didn't get a little. My wife has pointed this out to me. Like, that's the one thing is y'all get a partner in your life that can spot surgery, because surgery, wigs, makeup, she like notices them all from a distance.
Can I tell you one of my favorite things to do is especially with certain people, if they're around like 60, I'll be in a conversation. I have to like not fully. I don't know how I want to preface this because
don't throw it out there. No preference, just throw it out.
I love to be like, man, I hope that I can age like you when it's very obvious that they've had plastic surgery, just to see what they do, see what they say, see if they open up. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm not really into surgery that much. Like,
dude, if I get something, I'm a talk about it, because it's like I'm on fucking camera every day. Okay, who am I tricking? I'm not gonna like to go on my Christmas break and all of a sudden it's like everything's like.
Yeah, I just don't go outside.
About it.
For me, I just don't go outside. And then my wife has been trying at least twice a month. She'll be like, "Put on face lotion." I'm like, "All right," I put on some face lotion. But yeah, I don't go to the, like, if I go to the beach, I'm out there for like maybe 20 minutes. I spend all of it boogie boarding. I'm covered in SPF 90. And then I run back inside because I'm already lobstering. So that's my secret.
I feel like we're lucky because by about 15-ish years, we missed like the big oil movement. I remember my mom and her friends, they were like, sunscreen? No, I'm just using oil. And I saw her friend, like it weirded me out as a kid because I was like, why does like Aunt Nancy look like a whole different person? Like, because she didn't just change colors. She like became a leather suitcase. And it was gnarly, but anyway. So I'm hoping.
But in that though, we're also weirdly in this weird millennial thing, because there's this cohort when you look at millennials, especially late 30s going into early 40s, and then you look at them and compare them to Gen Z. There's this weird thing where you're like, wait, that person is 24, like that. There's a conservative influencer named Emily Austin. Do you know her? She's like this blonde girl. She's like, she is a lunatic. I've gotten into fights with her before. Everyone's gotten into fights with her because she shows up and stuff. She showed up at the Grammys.
Is this
she's the one who was reacting to the Billie Eilish thing.
So she was the one that, okay. So she goes to place, she gets offended, and she like, but she went to the Super Bowl and is she the one that went to the Super Bowl and then watched?
That was a different one, exactly, because they all look the same. Because here's the thing though. This new generation, right? The people in their early 20s, a lot of them are being sold on the idea that sunblock is actually evil. And so a lot of them are now going back to oil. They've also been heavily using tanning beds, right? And they've all been vaping and doing all this other weird shit while staring at screens an inch from their face. So you have a series of iPad kids that are being loosed into the world while ripping on vapes, and they all look 37. And it's crazy. And so when I found out she was like 24, I actually spit my drink. I was like, no, because Emily Austin's the one. So she was at the Billie Eilish thing, right? She also pretended to be the head of Hot Girls for Cuomo, which is when I made a video about her. But before that, she actually was. She went to the Benjamin Netanyahu UN conference where he talked to all of those American content creators about how they needed to own TikTok and how Israel needed, they needed more content creators to give them a better marketing perspective, right? And then she's also been so she's been doing a series of these different things. She's really bad at being a content creator. Whenever she isn't being boosted by bots, it just doesn't go well for her. And so she mostly at this point is just kind of like a hot clown. That's kind of her whole thing. But she just has to pretend that it's going well. But from what I've heard, basically, is she really wanted to be an NFL sideline reporter. And then, certain billionaires who happen to have an NFL team that are heavily tied to Benjamin Netanyahu were like, this girl will be great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the general MO for a lot of these guys is to just post through anything because any attention is good attention. A lot of people will just share a video with a caption that's completely devoid of any context or what the video's in, and just it tricks people. And then, I had to double check. Yeah, these are different people, and it's so
you're
funny
talking about the girl because you're talking about the girl who was at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Amanda Vance, apparently she's at the Super Bowl, and she's after, I don't know, she bought a ticket, someone bought a ticket, the money's been spent, she's at the Super Bowl, she's got headphones in, just deciding to listen to Kid Rock. But ultimately, at least this, I understand the pick me stuff, because it looks like she's very much into the sports space. So she's any attention is good attention because she's pushing codes for apps. So that I get. It's any attention is good attention. It's kind of the OF model.
So exactly. She's pushing the girl you're talking about, who is in the nosebleeds of the Super Bowl. She's way up there. And she has plug-in headphones on, just so you can see it, because it's that performative. They're not even AirPods. And she's holding her phone up, pretending to enjoy Kid Rock, while literally everyone around her is watching Bad Bunny. You're at the game. It felt very burning the Nikes you already bought. Mm-hmm. Actually, it felt very going to the store, buying Nikes, coming home and burning them because Colin Kaepernick took a knee. That's because the NFL, this is one of those weird moments where in a national divorce and the libs get football. I'm never going to get over it because it's just such a bizarre moment. But with her in particular, the girl we're talking about with the phone at the game, I looked at her account and she was she's a sports betting app girly. Her bio literally said, I make all of my money sports gambling. And I'm got it. So you probably have Kalshi or Polymarket, DraftKings, or one of these other different ones somewhere in the background. Versus Emily Austin, who is being propped up by, PACs, dark money, maybe, just maybe governments, just stuff like that, Because Emily Austin actually got one of the Epstein binders. She's one of the Epstein binder girlies.
Hey, I mean,
she wasn't in the files. She held up the Pam Bondi Phase 1 binder.
Yeah.
I don't want everyone to ever forget.
Machine. She was part of the propaganda machine. Yeah.
Yeah, because all of the guys involved with the Epstein binder Phase 1 moment, where they all held up the binders, we're gonna get the names. Trump's gonna release the files. Those guys, every single one of them were heavily pushing the halftime special, because this halftime special was perfectly timed for them. I think it's the reason why they held off the release of the files until a week ago, because they could turn up the crazy about the halftime special, so then people wouldn't talk about a lot of the other things that are coming out here in this slow trickle we're getting from the Epstein files themselves, which is last night was redactions being removed on people like Les Wexner. And
actually, let's jump into the Epstein files of it all after the break. I do want to mention before we move on. It does look like the halftime show might have been the most watched live in U.S. history with 135 million. I've seen a lot of right-wing accounts throwing out essentially removing the one. And being there was only 35 people. It was a catastrophe.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that's been seen is that there's a Nielsen rating that says 135. Remember, the thing to keep in mind of the 135 million, the thing people need to keep in mind is every party counts as one.
Is that true?
So if you have 20, yes, because it's how many
crazy.
televisions. It's televisions. So like there's images of the Super Bowl halftime special being played in big mega bars, all this different stuff. And so you see like these people, like again, looking like 1,000 people. There was a shot, I think it was down in Puerto Rico in San Juan, of all these people watching the Bad Bunny halftime special. Right? And then Turning Point USA was just old dudes on their phone in the corner of Hooters being like, I don't know, Steve, they wouldn't put it on the main TV because Hooters got woke. Like there's a big, the big thing that I saw, which is they did the Trump 2020 election move, which they yelled stop the count when it came to the YouTube views. Because when the day after the halftime special, Turning Point USA had 19 million views. Right? It was around the 24-hour mark. And then they posted the Bad Bunny one. So 3 hours after the Bad Bunny special got posted to YouTube, it had like 3.5 million views on YouTube. But the thing is, people always forget about YouTube is the YouTube view counter is very slow. The public counter is very, very slow. It's often way behind. So like when we post a video, there'll be times where when we first post to YouTube in the first hour, we'll look up, and if you look on the app, it'll say that we have 4,000 views. Yep. And when we're looking on the back end, we're actually at 25, 30,000 views or things like that. The same thing exact happened, but there were like 3 million views. And so I saw guys like Terrence K. Williams, Benny Johnson, and others being like, we crushed Bad Bunny on YouTube. Well, the Bad Bunny one is going to continue to get views. Yeah. It's already doubled. It has 45 million, I believe, last time I looked on YouTube views. And that's not counting Nielsen's. That's not counting the Super Bowl party. That's not counting people who DVR'd it. That's not counting all these other different things. And the halftime, the Turning Point USA All-American halftime special is still stuck at 19 million because most people who tuned into that had a morbid curiosity of what the fuck is Kid Rock gonna do? And they turned it on and they proceeded to see Jack the Pollock Posobiec be like, and now here it is, acting like Triple H at NXT. Brought to you by this. He's standing up there. They had to sit through a Brantley Gilbert. They had to sit through the slowest white gospel they've ever heard in their entire life. And they all tuned out. And then on top of that, you have the same streamers who tuned in for morbid curiosity notice, because they're more used to YouTube Live than most of the boomers who were tuning into this shit. They noticed, hey, it's crazy. The chat didn't move. They're watching. They're sitting there like, it says here that 6 million people are watching or whatever it was, but the chat is frozen. Now, that could be because of the system. There's all these different things. Yeah. But we live in a world where whatever you see last is true. So using Benny Johnson, using Jack Posobiec, using Terrence K. Williams, using Emily Austin, using Erica Kirk, all of their logic, that means it was botted and all this is fake and we can't believe that there's actually any Trump voters. And actually, to me, that means that Kamala Harris actually won all the swing states and that we're living in the middle of a fake presidency. Brought to you by Jeffrey Epstein.
Hey, I just want to throw this out there to completely discount the views. I do think that there is a chance, especially with when it comes to a number of the platforms, a number of the things. There is always a chance for botting because people are trying to make certain things seem more popular so that they actually become more popular. Yeah. Right. Because people are sheep, or a lot of people are sheep. They like to follow. But we can never discount what this was. Like I was talking about. It became signals both on the left and the right, and the right really consistently, they embrace the culture war stuff. So I think there were people tuning in. Yeah, some of them probably acting like they actually fucking cared. They wanted to be there for the number, to be a part of something, right? So don't discount it. They have, even though this is less for you, more for other people.
I know.
When you let your guard down, you think that there's not, right? When people were mocking anytime Elon Musk is going to take over and turn it into whatever. Oh, there's going to be right-wing alternatives. Oh, whatever. It's going to be this forever. It's not, right? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, to your point, the Bad Bunny thing will also continue to go up because there was actually a sense of artistry, right? It was less of like, we don't like that other thing, and it was more actually promoting something. And I also love that a number of people had to be like, okay, I didn't think, okay, he didn't go like anti-Trump. It was actually like really, it was a positive message.
Tom Tillis, the Republican senator from North Carolina, was like, fuck, that was pretty good. Like he's like, there's so many of them. Like the thing is like even Trump himself at Mar-a-Lago at his Super Bowl party
was watching. Yeah,
they had Bad Bunny on because there's a video of Lindsey Graham just staring at the thickest Latina shaking ass, and he's just like, this does nothing for me.
Even fucking Nick Fuentes was like, I enjoyed it. Like,
yeah. Because
like,
bisexual
like,
Latinos stick together. That's just a different.
But I think because what's funny is for him that ends up being a winning message. He's like, don't be a fucking loser. Like,
because they are. This is what we're stuck in. Is we're stuck in the fact that
worse people making great points.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's that conservatism is 100% based on nostalgia and the idea of what was cool when you were 12 will be cool forever, and that's not true. When I was a kid, when I was a young lad in 1999, Kid Rock was one of the coolest dudes I ever saw. He was so cool when I was growing up in Delco, and he was up there talking. He was hanging out with Joe C, rapping about strippers, and he did the Undertaker's music, American Badass. Oh my God, this is so great. It was Kid Rock. It was Limp Bizkit. It was the best. And you know what happened? 9/11 happened, and all my buddies went to war. I like to think that we all agree healthcare matters. It's the scheduling that makes people give up. Calling offices, sitting on hold, getting transferred, and then being told, we'll call you back, and they never do, is enough to make people just not go. That's why you need today's sponsor, ZocDoc. It's genuinely clutch. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love. I'm talking primary care, dentists, dermatologists, eye doctors, therapists, over 200 specialties, all in one place. You can filter by insurance, location, specialty, and appointment type, including in-person or video visits, whichever floats your boat. You also get verified patient reviews, so you're not just picking a doctor based on vibes and hope. The best part? You see real-time availability and book instantly. No calls, no voicemails, someone will reach out. Appointments booked through ZocDoc often happen within 24 to 72 hours. And yes, same-day slots are real. I've used it myself and booked an appointment faster than deciding what to eat for lunch. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Scan the QR code or go to ZocDoc.com/crashing-out to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/crashing-out. ZocDoc.com/crashing-out.
But Alex, the other thing about the Super Bowl people obviously care about, though I was very disappointed this year, the Super Bowl ads. It was like what? Gambling, AI. They ruined Jurassic Park, and they. I loved the Coinbase thing was fantastic because it felt like a rug pull. I loved that.
People described it as a joy rug pull. I can't tell you how many videos I saw of rooms full of girls and friends singing along to Everybody by the Backstreet Boys. And even my wife and I, like, we happened to turn that on because it was right before the halftime special. So we happened to see that commercial, and we're sitting there, and the whole time I'm thinking, like, what is this for? You know, like, what is this commercial for?
Yeah.
And so right when they get to Backstreet's Back and it said Coinbase, cryptos for everyone, we groaned. And then I saw on TikTok, everybody groaned. Crypto has been in the dirt. It's been having a really bad time the last couple weeks, and I hope it continues. I hope it continues forever, especially after when the Epstein leaks, Epstein files, it came out that Epstein might have been like really hardcore involved in crypto, maybe even the rollout of Bitcoin. But anyway, there was a running theme this year. Every year you get a kind of through line of like what is the thing that's happening across American culture, or especially American consumerism. And yeah, it was AI and it was the surveillance state. That was the other one that really jumped out for people.
That's right.
Yeah, the Ring cameras.
Guys, just you don't need privacy if we save a dog.
Yeah. Oh no, 10 million dogs go missing every year, and we're gonna save one a day. That's 365 dogs. That's not even a percent. You're not even on the percentage board when it comes to saving dogs. And that's my favorite thing. It's like, okay, so if you can figure out, because how many different breeds of dogs are there, right? There's a million. I don't know. There's a ton of different dogs out there. And so you can tell each of these dogs apart. You can tell exactly which one is my neighbor's dog, Molly. That's crazy. So you can also identify dissidents. Like, you can also identify immigrants. You can also go ping the DHS because you're working in conjunction with flock cameras, and DHS has a contract with all that stuff. Like, there was a movie years ago, Enemy of the State. It was a Will Smith movie with Gene Hackman. And it was a very paranoid movie about, it had Seth Green was in it, a bunch of other different people. Yeah. Very paranoid movie about like all these different things about how the surveillance state will be able to track you and all this different stuff. And a bunch of tech billionaires were down there on the kid fuck island. They said, "Hey, this is a great idea." And that's how we are. That's where we are now.
I just this is a personal note. I had been rooting for I'll say someone that's close to the family for a long time. Like had a hard time getting some jobs and has been really thriving at their new one. And I knew it had something to do with cameras. And then I found out that they work for Flock, and I was like, oh no! It was like finding out I was like rooting for like just something bad, and I was like I don't know.
It's like finding out that Rudy was in the Epstein list. You're like, no. You only had one play, and it was kids. All right, no, the thing that gets me is I had a buddy of mine had a really great joke years ago about it sucks that the only way to make money seems to be doing the most evil jobs. It's like, yeah, I had a great job, 401k, full dental. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a webmaster for a trafficking ring. You're like, shit. But yeah, that's what all of it's just. But that's a lot of things. It even touches our space. There is a reason that so many people push gambling ads, even though it's now so well known how bad they are for people. Yeah, right. Is because they will pay god awful amounts of money. I'll go on the record. I've turned down six figures. Yeah. I've had six figures, and then I've said no, and they said, well, what's your number? And I said there is none, and they were already offering me more than I used to make working at a bank. Like, that is what's crazy. Like, working as a bank teller, a good job, a job that was good, had healthcare, had dental, all that different stuff. They were like, here's triple that. And I was like, no. Like, you just have to do one ad around the Super Bowl. Like, my inbox right around the Super Bowl every single year just fills up with all of them. And then we get in the argument of like, well, what if we do it and then we take the money and do it for no. It's because I know what they really want is they want access to the audience. They wanted to put in front of it, and they want to have people who listen to us, who talk about things, who trust our, what we talk about, to have access and have us go, well, this thing's pretty good. And there's no way we can set up a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't listen to us on this thing because we end up on a different one.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I've done this for 20 years. I've made good decisions, some ones that I'm like, I wish I never went down that road. I'm not gonna go after every person for having a sponsor that it turns out, that wasn't the best pick. But it's like after you learn that it's an issue and why it's an issue, and you're not getting defensive because you're wanting to like protect your bag, then it's like that. Those are different things. But I don't know. There's a at this point. Go for it.
Can I point out one thing? Just one thing, because this is a personal one for me.
Oh.
I noticed that this weekend, every single comic who platformed and endorsed Donald Trump, who has been silent all of January about the slaying of American citizens by ICE, about the growing internment camp, concentration camps that ICE are building, about going door to door with masked men, all that different shit. Those guys, every single one of them were able to make sure that they had sponsored Instagram stories for DraftKings and all these other fucking betting apps. Every single one of them. They all made sure that they took a note to have those moments on there. And I just want that to be noted, because when it comes down to scheduling, to making sure that they got their sponsorship, they had absolutely no problem doing that. But when it came down to sponsoring the Constitution and the rights of their fellow Americans and human rights and dignity, they couldn't figure out a way to fit that into their content calendar. That's just me. That's me. Just want to get that out there.
Guys, I'm just, to all the influencers, think of it this way, right? Because you have to look at your audience as real people, hopefully, and not just numbers. Think of it, I feel like I always like try and sell things from a financial setting because people only care about money. If you push gambling on all your people and then they lose their money, which statistically a super majority will, they won't have enough money to buy your merch. They won't have enough money to buy your other sponsors stuff that don't prey on something. A cool jacket, cool, whatever.
They won't be able to afford tickets to your tour, right? They won't be able to afford. And hey, if you push, if all these billionaires with the AI companies, if you replace all the jobs with AI, then no, never mind. The kids will get cheaper. All right, I'm sorry. That's my fault. I did logic too far. I logic too far. I've been too deep in the Epstein stuff again, and this is where I've been. My wife has been chasing
for a second,
me around.
I thought we were going AI. I was like, no, AI is going to fuck us. I was like, it's
No,
ruining
AI is
people's
gonna fuck us.
electricity
What I was gonna
bills
say
and
is-
people are going to lose jobs.
Well,
Yeah.
what I was going to say is, in general, with all of it, is with AI, is that if so many people lose their jobs, then who is going to buy any of the products? But I realized, as I was saying that, is nobody sells products anymore. Nobody cares because all these major companies have slowly turned into banks because that's all they really care about. They care about getting back to 0% interest rates, and they care about loaning each other money. And when you look at stuff like that graph of Microsoft and NVIDIA and all the AI companies passing money back and forth forever, that is, this is kind of this area where we're getting stuck in right now. That's why you're seeing stuff like the crypto crash. Even though the stock market is going up and it's broke 50,000, I still think that we're on the precipice of a lot of really terrifying stuff because there's so many areas when we look in our economy that are terrifying. They just said they want to put buy now, pay, the rent can go on buy now, pay later. That's insane. Like, that's crazy.
But can't you do that? Can't you even do that for like DoorDash orders?
Yeah, no, but people were financing tacos. Yeah, like that was like there's things that are happening when I look at some of this stuff that like don't make sense to me in the long term, and a lot of it feels like there are a series of executives that basically have been borrowing so much money that their only end game is to die before paying anything back. And that feels like, I mean, that's one of the things they've been saying for a long time. A lot of these billionaires, they borrow money against the shares. And so the shares have to keep going up. And then that way they keep borrowing more money against the shares so they can pay back the interest on that. And they just keep up that cycle forever. I mean, you look at a guy like Elon, like, oh, he's the richest man in the world. It's like, well, he doesn't seem to actually have much. He's been posting a lot about how he doesn't have happiness. It's been crazy. Elon has literally been just sad posting almost every other day. He's been posting like money, whoever said money doesn't buy happiness, they sure were right. Anyway, I hate Steve Bannon, and he's definitely the only pedophile in that whole list, right? Ignore the pictures of me at a dinner table with Jeffrey Epstein. Ignore my emails begging him to go to the island. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, actually, on that note, I mean, it kind of connects people kind of being fine with whatever because of money, power, and then I think that does bring us to the Epstein files release, because I think one of the biggest things that we've seen kind of from this batch, and I will also say, you should understand that we probably will see news breaking from even just this first release for the next 3 to 4 months, because there's just so many files. You can have hundreds of journalists on this thing working on it every day. It's still going to take months because there's just that much. But one of the biggest things has been the number of people who just openly lied about, oh, I hated that guy, I cut things off, I this and that. And then it's like the emails are forever and they're now being released and you're getting exposed. And granted, in the United States, you can be a Howard Lutnick and you seemingly have no consequences or internal pressure to step down. Whereas over in the UK, they're telling Keir Starmer, you've got people saying Keir Starmer needs to resign because he helped install someone who talked to Epstein. It wasn't even, it's like secondhand.
Oh, no, actually, that one's even worse.
Wait, what? No, tell me. Okay, wait.
Yeah. So Keir Starmer, just so the listeners, did we go clear on everything? Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of England. Oh, Prime Minister of the UK or Great Britain or whatever. I would just like to say England because free Wales. Anyway, he was the U.S. ambassador to America. He was the British ambassador to America, Peter Mendelsohn. And there are pictures of him pantsless, like doing, like there's like crazy shit in there. And he was lying repeatedly. And Peter Mendelsohn also was literally, his nickname in the British press is the Dark Prince.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like this guy's like evil in like ways that are crazy. What we're seeing though is the British royal family is cracking because they are, even the King of England, King Charles III, has called for police investigations into his own brother, who has already been removed from the royal list or whatever it is. He's still rich, but he's like losing a lot of.
He's just Andrew now.
Yeah, he's just Andrew Mountbatten. But yeah, they've just been going down, or Windsor Mountbatten. I can't remember what they kept the hyphen in there.
Fuck
but
that guy, I
he's
don't know,
yeah,
kid.
but there seeming to be over there. There's seeming to be some repercussions, but it does look like the UK government is going to collapse. It's looking more and more likely that Keir Starmer is losing support from his own cabinet, and that entire thing will fold, and then you'll see probably a caretaker government come in. They'll probably call for snap elections, and then the Conservatives will sweep back into power again. And
But Elon Musk can be like, hey, what's the best night for a
when's
party?
the party? Yeah,
I hated that guy. I did.
yeah, but his brother, Elon's brother, is actually feeling repercussions because he has been asked to step down from the board of Burning Man because Burning Man cares more about who is in their cabinet than the United States federal government. In fact, one of the things that really got me was running up to the what's people calling it, Clanchella, the Turning Point USA halftime show. Benny Johnson, the conservative influencer who does like to cosplay as an ICE agent, he actually posted a picture of himself with Kid Rock and RFK Jr., and he said, just 3 guys who aren't in the Epstein files, to which itself got a community note because RFK Jr. is in the Epstein files. He flew on the Epstein's plane 2 times. There are multiple mentions about it inside the Epstein files. And in fact, when RFK Jr.'s wife was found dead in his backyard, Epstein replied to someone about hearing the news and wrote, whoops.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed that. Wow.
Yeah, it's in there. I have a personal animus towards RFK Jr., so anytime I get bad news, I just log it up here in the news.
Which is wild.
I put it right up there next to the worm.
It's not wild that you have this feeling. What's wild to me is that he is considered, I believe, to most polling as the most popular person that's in Trump's administration, even more so than Donald Trump in a number of polls.
Yeah, because again, most people aren't paying attention to him because most people just hear the Maha shit every now and then, glancingly, because he is being completely isolated. He's being completely insulated and siloed from the rest of the MAGA experiment. So like a guy like Howard Lutnick, right? Like Howard Lutnick is constantly, always in pictures with Trump. You rarely see you rarely see Trump without Howard Lutnick. Every time you see Trump on Air Force One and he's talking to reporters, Howard Lutnick is always just over his shoulder, right? He's always just there, just by the bathroom. And the reason why you mentioned Howard Lutnick, he's the Secretary of Commerce. Yeah. He was also Jeffrey Epstein's next door neighbor. He claimed that he didn't do business with him or any of this other different stuff. And it came out all that's not true. They all were connected. Steve Bannon, while he was still while he was running Trump's campaign, and then when he became the White House, he was like the chief strategist of the White House. He had an office next to the Oval. He was emailing Jeffrey Epstein all the time. Like he even was trying to, at the very end of Epstein's life, before everything was reopened, actually right after everything was reopened, all these different things, Steve Bannon was trying to figure out how can we save Jeff? How can we do a public relations flip? We're doing interviews with them, trying to set things up. And in fact, actually, I truly believe, a few people have said this, but I do believe that if Jeffrey Epstein was still alive today, you would see a push, because we saw it a little bit, even in his death, of guys like Nick Fuentes trying to sell that quarter zip again and a few other different stuff. We would start to see a push of, hey, it's not that bad, right? Like what did what's her name? The blonde Megyn
Kelly?
Megyn Kelly. She was like, come on. Most of these girls are over 15. That's not a pedophile. And now we've recently heard it. We know. One of them was 9. Yeah.
I always get weirded out by the people that are like, if we're gonna use this language, hey, they were 15. You're like,
no,
Jesus
the term's
Christ.
a phebophile.
You're like,
the term, excuse me, Your Honor, I do believe it says grass on field. What the fuck are we talking about? There's so many of them like this. But this has just been, again, to tie back to some of the things we covered last week, and the reason why we had this entire thing about the halftime special. The reason all of that discourse existed is in the files itself. It's the idea of tribalism. It's the idea of dividing and conquering. And it's the idea of making sure there was even a thing in there that was talking to, they said, how we're not like Sao Paulo and they talk about the halftime special. It was Jeffrey Epstein, and I can't remember who the other CEO he's speaking to, but it was about, making these cultural moments for people to focus on so they don't realize that they're being robbed by their bosses, that they're being robbed by their banks, that they're being robbed at every single level of this thing because nobody's getting a fair deal on everything. We're now in a world where everything in our country is either a casino or a scam. Like I don't, there's nothing I feel good about anymore when it comes to most of these things, with the exception of this very podcast, Phil.
There you go. I want to go back to something because I do agree with you that I do think that if Epstein was alive, there would be a right-wing push to absolve him. There'd be more people pushing this thing that we heard from the Trump administration of like, hey guys, it ain't illegal to party with Jeff. And
there was one lady said,
we've even seen that though a little bit from Nick Fuentes and others who were like, come on, you're not going to that island. You're not. It sounds like a fun time. You're a loser, and it's like. That would be on steroids if he was alive. That was
one of the lines. All the cool people were going. That was what one lady said. She looked in the camera and said, all the cool people are going. I'm like, you should be banned from schools. Like, that was what my reaction was. Because I'm like, that's the thing with all of this is over and over and over again. I mean, I've worked with kids by working in libraries, like volunteering in libraries and like being a karate instructor and other different stuff like that. Like, there was training that we had to get. We weren't full on, what's it, like first reporter, mandated reporter. That's like teachers and stuff. Librarians, teachers, doctors, all these different things. And I keep going back to this because from 2021 through the election, even into early 2025, all of those groups of mandated reporters that I just mentioned, all of them have been heavily targeted by the right. By these same exact people who have been trying to go, you know what? I wasn't too concerned about the Epstein file. Guys, that's old news. Why are you bringing up old shit? I was like, well, there was a 9-year-old in it, dude. Like, that's the thing. It's like they're now Congress people who are eating crow. There was one I saw, I think it was some senator, and she literally was like, yeah, I thought all this stuff was a bunch of bullshit, but then I read a couple of them. I was like, oh. I was like, you said that into a fucking recorder? Like, you said that to a reporter and you thought that was a good reaction? Like, I think there's such a disconnect, not only between the age of many of our Congress people, many of our senators, and many of the elites of this country, but there's also a disconnect, I think, because of just like how they talk in country clubs and locker rooms, like specifically country club locker rooms about this shit that we're starting to see of like where that is. Actually, the one I keep thinking about is XQC said it, which I can't believe I'm about to quote this man, but somebody asked him, another streamer asked him like, huh? I'll make sure I'll mumble it. I'll mumble it really good. Somebody asked him, it's like, why are there so many of them? He's like, yeah, it's because there's nothing to do in the late game. Like, if you look at life like a video game, like once you get to a certain level, like you've done everything. If you're at a certain level of billionaire, what else do you do? And then I went to the comments of that very video, and somebody actually wrote, all of the elite tier late game players are now just spawn camping. And that was like, that's a little too far. But it's kind of true in a weird way, because when I look at who they're comparing themselves to, when I look at what these billionaires are doing things for, right? You look at, there was a little bit there where we had 3 of them felt like they were doing the space race. Well, the rest weren't. What were the rest of them doing? They were buying yachts, because the only thing they had to compare to each other was once a year when they go to St. Bart's. And they go down to the island that's directly next to Jeffrey Epstein's island, and they all sit down there on their yachts. And they've been buying bigger and bigger yachts every single year. This is the only thing they fucking care about. And they go down there and they do whatever the fuck they do on that private island, that big massive island, or they go to one of the other American Virgin Islands, which I think we should rename because God knows they're not virgin anymore. But we look at all those different things down there, and the disconnect between them and the robber barons of the 1890s is they don't have to walk through town. Like fucking Andrew Carnegie had to walk through town. The steel moguls had to walk through town. A railroad tycoon at some point had to go. He had his people at least, or he knew he had to go walk through the other side of the market. When we had Caesar back in ancient Rome, he had to put his feet and step through the forum. All of these rich dudes just get on fucking private jets and they fly over all of us. They look down, they selfie themselves, and then they go hop on their yacht and they float away while they just go and scam 0.05% off of a crypto purchase. It's fucking insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The more that we've found out, and the more that we're going to continue to find out, the more I'm at a weird place where I'm like, my politics over the years have become more and more progressive. But when we get into these situations around what's come out around Epstein, I just have this scale of this is me going back to basics, where I'm like, I think that we get to a place, if you were involved or you knew and you did nothing, we allow abuse survivors to get a rock and get a throw in, right? And then we just go down.
Bring it back stoning.
Stoning. Very progressive right. In a lot of places. In this, I'm like, we go stoning.
Yeah.
We video. We live stream it.
Live stream it. Okay.
Yeah.
Live stream stonings. I got it.
Yeah.
Listen. This is great policy right here, and we're gonna.
I just wanted to say this right before we hit our next sponsor and then switch subjects. I just wanted to make sure.
Well, before we do that, what I will say is one of the things that's happened is there's actually so much information that's come out of this that I've actually been starting to get. I have to check myself all the time about pipelining, and I am seeing now a mass psychosis that is happening around this event. Which is around every drop of these Epstein files. So one thing that happened to me over the weekend is I noticed a trend of people posting videos that were being served to me since TikTok got bought, by the U.S. consortium, and now that's being the TikTok algorithm is now U.S. run. I am getting more psychotic conspiracy theory content than I've ever gotten. Now, part of that is because of the Epstein files happening at the same exact time, but this type of stuff was often stamped down and tamped down by the old runners of TikTok. One I'm getting a lot of is the Gate conspiracy. Do you know what the Gate conspiracy is? The Gifted and Talented Educational Program. Do you remember those when we were in high school, like in elementary school, and that stuff?
Vaguely.
Gifted and Talented. Did you go to public school?
Yeah.
So public school.
All I know is I was in advanced courses, but I don't know if that was.
Yeah, that's part of it. Like in my school, it was called LEAP. It's an acronym for stuff. But Gifted and Talented, most people just know it's the Gifted and Talented program.
Okay.
It's track education, where they would go and they test kids, and they go, okay, well, these kids are clearly going to get bored with all the normies, so we're gonna have like advanced placement programs or stuff like that for them. So for me, in my when my school had it, we had like a slightly better art class we went to, or stuff like that, because they were like they would twice a month we got taken to a different building, and they took kids from all over the school district, and they brought us all together, and like, you're the smarter kids. We learned music education, arts. I learned about video cameras, and like the first time I ever used Adobe Photoshop was at that, and then like went through my middle school, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's turned into a whole conspiracy now in people's minds, and it's actually locked in with the idea of suppressed thought. And one of the things that these people are starting to believe is that all of them are actually been tested like they're 11 from Stranger Things. Oh, like it's a weird X-Men thing. It's all based around Candace Owens saying that she and Charlie Kirk had astral projected each other. And they both mentioned that both of them were in the Gifted and Talented program. Because the thing is Charlie Kirk was not a stupid man. Candace Owens is not a stupid woman. They know how to manipulate people. You have to be smart to do that. And because they were put in this Gifted and Talented program, now all these other people are saying to themselves, I went to that program too. I remember being tested for that. They gave me a hearing test. They made us drink this liquid. I'm like, as they're going down all this different stuff that they're saying, I was like, all of these are either testing or public health. So like at my school, every year we did a hearing test. Yeah, because they wanted to make sure that you could hear your teacher. And they know that kids won't speak out. Like I have glasses. I got glasses in 3rd grade, not because my dad heard me say something because he had glasses, but he wouldn't have noticed when I said I couldn't read. We were at a Hardee's and I couldn't see the deal on the board. He was like, oh, there's a sandwich deal. Do you want that? I said, which sandwich deal? And he's like, wait a second. And then he started giving me, then we went and got an eye test. A lot of people don't have that in their life, so they have a specialist come in. They have a dental hygienist come in and check on you. And people have turned that into, this actually was a secret conspiracy. There's notations in the Epstein files. There's like talk about a yearbook, a company that runs yearbooks. Okay. Now it's kids' yearbooks. Those are actually menus for the Epstein class. Pedophiles, I'm never going to let my kid be in the yearbook. Yearbooks were invented to make sure that we have a current image of a child, because most families weren't taking pictures of them back in the 50s and 60s. So when kids went missing, they had a picture of them when they were 4, but you're missing a 10-year-old now. Like there's all these different things that have become, that are like, they're spiraling out of control. And part of it is because we've had this massive information dump and no one to guide us through it. And I was reading from a lawyer about how she talks about, especially when dealing with abuse cases, you can't just dump all this shit on a jury because they'll go crazy and lose their minds. You have to walk them through the case. And the judge's sole role, one of their roles, is to make sure that the jury isn't being harmed by what they're seeing too quickly. And that's exactly what's happening to us. We've made the American public a jury, and we've given them just pure raw data and no context for any of this different stuff. And yes, there's horrifying things in the Epstein files, and we're going to keep learning more horrifying things. And we're going to learn about people keep denying things and that they've lied to us and all this different stuff. But we're going to learn about it because we've had a failure from the Department of Justice, the FBI, the President of the United States, the entire elite class of this country who refuse to hold any of these people accountable. And so now it's being left to us, and their way of dealing with us to let us know this information is to fire hose us until all we do is scream about whether or not Bad Bunny or Kid Rock is better for a halftime show. And that's where our brains are going to end up being. Yeah. And that's just so fucking terrifying.
I'll get you back to the pod in just a minute, but first, you ever wake up to a scam text and think, cool, someone out there knows way too much about me? Well, it might be because of disasters like this. A marketing company called NetCore Cloud left a 13 terabyte database wide open. 40 billion exposed records, emails, partial bank details, documents just sitting online. And that's why today's sponsor Incogni exists, to pull your personal data out of the massive marketing and broker databases you never agreed to be in. Thousands of companies, they collect and sell your information daily. Technically, you can ask them to delete it, but doing it yourself, it would take forever. But Incogni, they do it automatically, contacting brokers, pushing removals, and handling the back and forth that you don't have time for. And their new custom removal feature in unlimited and family unlimited plans, it lets you flag people's search sites or sketchy listings, and their privacy agents wipe them out. I mean, I checked my dashboard and dozens of brokers already had my information, and watching those removals hit, it feels like digital pest control. And leaks like NetCore, it proves why this matters. One exposed profile is enough for phishing, identity theft, or fraud. So protect yourself before your data ends up in the next big leak. Go to incogni.com/crashingout and use code crashingout for 60% off. It's incogni.com/crashingout, code crashingout. All right, so Alex, for this last block, this might be dealer's choice. Wildly different stories.
Okay.
Do we talk about the American Olympic team controversies where, oh my gosh, American athletes had the audacity to be like, I don't know how I feel about stuff that's happening at home right now. I'm kind of concerned. And then Republicans being like, rip the flag off their uniforms, kick them out,
Shut
cancel
up
their passports.
And ski!
Or do we talk about fucking Trump posting that insanely racist Obama's as Gorillas video?
Oh, but you left out the pro wrestling angle, Phil.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, at an AEW show, the whole crowd started chanting "fuck ICE." There, you left that one out. That was what I was hoping we were going to talk about because I know the referee from that match. He's my buddy Bryce Remsburg from AEW, and yeah, it was a great moment because it showed a difference between AEW and Monday Night MAGA over there at the WWE and TKO.
I'll never forgive Trump, Vance, and MAGA for giving you more reasons to talk about wrestling. I cannot stand it. No, really, do you think that when you say WWE as far as MAGA, you're talking about like Triple H and the leadership there, not the audience, right? Because it feels like
the audience is probably as close to like CNN viewers as possible. I think WWE. So this is literally the sweep, the sweep of it, right? So to get the most MAGA, that's UFC. Right?
Yes,
if you're looking at TKO,
absolutely.
which is the same company as WWE now. It's TKO as the parent company. So MMA, because they're going to do that on the White House lawn, right? So you have MMA over there. That is the most MAGA. That's the most pipeline area. WWE is, their audience is probably more center. I would look at them more as Disney adults. And if they have more than one pro wrestling belt, then they're just little pay pigs. That's what their job is just to show up and buy a new John Cena t-shirt. And then you have the AEW audience, which are enlightened people like myself who really enjoy their show and would hope Hangman Adam Page just shuts the fuck up. Please let me like you.
I'm trying to think if there's another. Are there other companies and services out there that people actively consume where it's like the leadership is just so drastically different than the clientele? Because it's not even like, I don't think it's even Chick-fil-A level where people were like, oh, I don't like what they stand for, but I fuck with that sandwich. That feels so drastically different.
But I mean, again, it's what's consumer facing versus what's corporate facing, right? So I think with like any of these, I mean, look at, like a company like Walmart or Target or any of these other big major corporations. When you take a look at them, there's what they're going to say during investor calls, and there's what they do, in front of everybody. I think is one of the other things. Other thing we could have touched on a little bit is also the Kamala HQ launch. We forgot, we could have.
They changed their name too many times. It was 6-7, then it was 6-8. Now it's News HQ. I don't know what it is anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not against the idea of there being more of these hubs that are actively dunking on
progressive
right-wings.
Gen Z forward.
Like when
I
they
know,
call,
it was
when
just
they
corporate
call, when they
speak.
call it what it is, I'm just like, oh, you're such losers.
It's a
But
news aggregator.
It is, I think, important. What I get angry about is the fucking disconnect between the righteous anger and dunking on from a fucking social media team and the person they're supposed to be representing, right? So it's like you see like the wildest thing coming from like Newsom HQ, and this is not a pure dunk on him, but it's like, and then he's in a podcast with some right winger, and he's like, and he just like folds when they're like, that was kind of crazy. And he's like, I mean, I don't.
Well, because here's the one thing I'll say about Trump, right? Like I believe every Trump post. I believe that is from Trump, even when they are, even when they're clearly not. I'm like, well, they still got the voice kind of.
It's
right.
only when he's very
oh yeah,
nice. You're like, who wrote this?
Yeah, exactly. But like with Kathy Hochul, Kathy Hochul. She has a team of people who are Newsom. I like to call it Newsom posting now because it's fake crazy. Don't be fake crazy. I think the Kamala HQ, headquarters, sorry. We'll just call it headquarters. I think this headquarters thing actually is a good idea. And the exact people who were dunking on it, I saw within 2 days, were quote tweeting it as a way, they're prompts. They're doing the same thing as More Perfect Union. They're doing the same thing as a bunch of other different orgs that we've seen, especially on the left. And the right has thousands of these things. We have on the left, there's like maybe 7 of them. So, okay, great. We have an 8th one. Awesome. I would like to see more of them because, again, we have to be targeting, the left has to be targeting different demographics to make sure that they're reaching more people. And I think that's been the big thing is on the Democrats especially have been aimed specifically at 20-year-old women who live in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia sector, and they have not been trying to reach people who like live down by the border or that live in the upper Midwest or any of these different areas. They have to be able to spread out and built into more algorithms. All of that being said, since we are talking now about a presidential candidate posting, I can now pivot all the way back to Donald Trump being a virulent racist and the 59th second of a video that was already an insane video. Because we had that hit. That was like Thursday? Was that Thursday?
I love that Republicans were coming out and they were like, the way that Trump did this and then handled it, he just cost them the midterms. And I was like, this was the line that when he reminded everyone that he has this in him, not the murders in the street. That was the
not the boat bombings, not the demanding. There was a lot of people who were reacting that way. I actually was like, okay, whatever performative way you need to get off Tim Scott to make sure that you aren't, being pointed out of what's happening as much. This whole thing was crazy. This is going back to, again, remember when he did the poop video? Remember when the President of the United States posted the poop video?
Dumps it.
Yeah, I think that was like May or October, right? No, it was October because it was when this show was going. He was flying over a jet and he's pooping on it. It was the same AI artist.
Really?
It was the same AI artist.
Also,
which is what's crazy. But again, going back to that same thing last time, who the fuck is posting these for him? Because I do not believe that Donald Trump has the ability to screen record these videos and then put them up and then figure out how to upload video. I just don't think he has it in him. I just think he has too much. Yeah,
because we need to talk about like the events that transpired because right. So at first, like you have Caroline Leavitt going like Americans really don't care about this, right? And so. And then it's like, oh, actually, it was a White House staffer, even though there's video of Trump talking about how few people actually have access to the account. And then it was like, oh, Donald Trump, people were asking, okay, so are you going to do anything with the staffer? He's like, no, I saw the video. I sent it to the staffer. I guess they missed it. Like he didn't also apparently miss the thing. So all of a sudden it's this other person's fault. It's like, dude, you knew it was up for 12 hours.
But then Trump himself actually said that he posted it.
Yeah.
Like that's the part that's
that's
crazy.
what I mean. To bring it back around,
Yeah, no, I think it's, and just so everybody knows, again, this is Donald Trump posted a video, and in the last second of the video, because I want to give the actual context, the very last second of the video, it showed Barack Obama and Michelle Obama as gorillas, like, which is an incredibly racist trope stereotype that's existed for a very long time, especially in America, and is horrific and has overtones and undertones that we want to get past as a country and a culture. But the thing is, I think that we need to understand is that Donald Trump is a vehement racist. And the fact is that if he screen recorded himself, that he is building a racist pipeline for himself to sit around and be racist in, the same way Elon has done. And if he handed this off to somebody else to do it, they're not checking any of this type of stuff. Like the whole thing is crazy. The first 59 seconds of the video, mind you, is also insane. And that's what a lot of people actually went past, which is them claiming foreign governments actually stole the 2020 election, which is the whole setup that he's going to try to use to send ICE agents to the midterms by sending Tulsi Gabbard down to Phil's neighborhood to try to stop his wife from being elected to the school board.
That's the only reason it's happening. No,
you're being silenced, Phil. The same way we were silenced last week by YouTube.
But hey, YouTube cracked down on last week's video. But no, I mean, I think in Georgia, it's creating an interesting. So one, it is actually something that is very scary about the future of elections and Donald Trump trying to intimidate people, trying to craft some bogus bullshit narrative. What is, I think, a positive is I think we are seeing that some of the people that we have here, whether it be Senators Raphael Warnock or I've seen a lot of clips now of Senator John Ossoff going around, that there are people that are it feels like, once again, it could just be visual, it feels like they are built to try to combat this, and they're at least they themselves, or they have people around them that realize how they need to try and navigate this moment to the point. And I know that like there was a bunch of discourse around this where I think people were very impressed with John Ossoff. Also, I think I want to interview him just to figure out what he's been doing, because a few years ago, John Ossoff looking like a little bit of a Twiggy man. He's kind of bulked up.
He went from Tumblr to whatever you guys work out on now. I don't know, Peloton. What do you guys use?
I use Tonal, but actual people, they use actual weights.
Yeah. Well, I just meant the app of just going from like being more of like he had a Tumblr body before, a guy who he definitely felt like a guy who was on there, posting about anime.
I was happy to see that people kind of have been seeing the vision. I was messaging you and producer Ben, but I was like, I've been saying for like 2-3 years, I feel like John Ossoff, depending on what happens in Georgia in 2026, could be the guy. But I don't know. I don't believe that he actually has the goal of it, even though I think he was built to run as like a JFK style figure in 28.
I am begging libs to stop immediately
I know you said
handing. This is what happens. It happens specifically on Twitter, and then you start to see it bubble out to other different places. One guy has a good video, and then they're like, cancel the primary immediately. We saw it happen with Plattner.
That's what happened with Walz. No, that's what happened with Walz. He had good TV, and then they were like, I guess he's the VP now.
It did. It happened with Walz, but it happened with Graham Plattner. It happened with James Tallarico down in Texas. People immediately, because he had the good Rogan interview and he's had some other good videos, they immediately were like, well, then we don't need to even, they got mad that Jasmine Crockett even entered the primary. Because, I mean, again, I've said it repeatedly about when it comes to Texas.
Punch themselves out there.
Well, here's what I'll say about Texas. I'm gonna be whoever wins the primary, because you have to win the primary. So go have that. And I've always had this feeling. I said this about Plattner up in Maine as well, which is him against Janet Mills. Whoever Mainers pick, great. That'll be awesome. I hope that candidate wins. And if I see that there's a way I can support them, I'll try. That being said, I feel like people in Maine are very stupid because they keep fucking electing Susan Collins, who is over and over. She's been up there. This is like her 6th term that she's running for. How many times can this lady look at you and go, concerned, and then cancel your fucking hospitals, you idiots? Anyway, their bars close at midnight. The whole thing is crazy to me, because they keep doing this shit, which is like, yeah, you can have a favorite candidate, but don't immediately want to give it to them. Because I saw with this Ossoff speech, again, it was a great speech. He was using terms like Epstein class, which a lot of people are like, this is an amazing
Rokana.
term he coined. He didn't. Rokana termed that coin. And Rokana isn't as doesn't have as much charisma. He doesn't have that same. He doesn't mog the moids and raise their cortisol level.
Hey, I will say, I don't know if I said this on one of the last podcasts, but I have actually been increasingly impressed with him. As far as no, yes, with clavicular. That's jester maxing and all that.
Yeah.
No. Oh my god, I hate that we're being subjected to just the dumbest fucking language.
Everything's a psyop.
Yeah, no.
You're talking about Rokana though.
Rokana. I was like, you made me just go down a hole. I forgot.
I broke your brain by saying the
but
word
I've been impressed.
clavicular.
He's very proactive and forward thinking, and he's a little more kumbaya than I would personally be right now, which is crazy. When last show I was like, guys, just lie to yourself and be friends and bring people into the fold. Which I just want to say, I'm just gonna do that for me. You feel your rage. That's like me trying to control Alex. I think that you should. I'm gonna be here, and it's not because I'm a better person. It's because I think I need to be this flawed thing. But go for it.
Well, no, what I was gonna say is because the editors clipped that moment last week.
Oh,
and
did
they
they?
posted it up on YouTube Shorts and some other places.
Oh, did people
and I
hate
scrolled
me?
through the comments. No, most people agree with you. Most people were like, I
Really?
agree. Yeah, most people were like, I agree with Phil. We need to have grace for people.
That went to people that are not a part of our core audience.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing though, is I thought about it. I did give it a think. And eventually, yes, we do need to have an area where we can have a place of forgiveness. Just not right now because they're literally building concentration camps 90 minutes from my house.
Totally
like
valid.
right now. Like right now. Like right this second. It's happening. Just north of Reading,
I
Pennsylvania.
like that we both separately from last week's episode gave a little ground to each other.
Yeah, well, that's
personally, because that's how I felt too. I was like, this is an internal battle that I made public.
Well, no, because there's a thing. There's a stand-up comedian named Neil Brennan. He was actually one of the writers for Dave Chappelle. He wrote the Chappelle Show and a bunch of other different stuff. He posted that he's like, liberals, you need to stop being like, I told you so. You need to stop doing this and that. I was like, no, I don't.
It's the telling.
No, I don't.
That's the thing. Is like it's cut and dry telling that I think I understand. I 100% understand. I think why I'm allowed a little grace is, in addition to people being having watched for so long, or a lot of them, is that they know that I'm fucking internally fighting two different Phils at all times in my head.
Inside everyone, there's two Phils. That's what we need.
No, there's an Alex and a Phil. No, there's an Alex and a Phil.
We need a two Phil Moon shirt. That should be our merch. Two Phil Moon, and it's just you howling, and one of them is just a rabid lib. And the other one is just a concerned centrist.
One of them saying we need to stone people that were.
One of them is dressed up. One of them is Jesus Christ, and the other one is holding a stone. You're like, I don't have any sins. The thing that really drove me crazy with this Neil Brennan thing is Neil Brennan posted this whole thing about like we need to have grace to let these people in, but it's like, you need to once it's over. Like once it's over, then we can start to heal. But like we're being actively stabbed by the guy they gave the knife to. And you know what? They're like, as the knife is entering my body, you want me to turn and be like, and by the way, I forgive you for your choice. It was really difficult between him and the lady who laughed weird, I guess, who you think was too progressive conservative. Because that's the other thing that's coming out with a lot of the polling. What's actually come out is all of the progressives and leftists thought Kamala was too conservative, and all the conservatives thought that Kamala was too left and progressive.
Oh yeah, I read this whole piece about how how that seemed to be the case, and that the real Dem winner can be someone that progressives think is progressive and centrists think is centrist.
It's the same thing with the right. It's as long as you believe that the lunatic yelling at you is yelling the secret coded messages to you, you'll vote for him. And I think that's really what it comes down to with a lot of this stuff. I mean, the thing is looking back, I don't want to re-adjudicate that fucking election because I'm trying to put it behind me as far as possible because the PTSD is triggering. But at the end of the day, a black woman is always going to be viewed, a black woman who's a Democrat is always going to be viewed as being too liberal or too left or any of that different stuff just by her sole being. Like, that's just how that's going to go for a lot of people. And you're going to have people lie to you and say it's not. The same way they lied to us and said, I can't watch Bad Bunny because it's going to be gay woke agenda. And I'm like, I don't know, man. You did watch a guy who, again, sang a lyric that said, statutory is mandatory, a 55-year-old dude in jorts. And then I turned on the Bad Bunny presentation where they shook ass and had a heterosexual wedding. And it was a real wedding. And then he woke a child up, handed them a football. Like, that was... I
have to do a quick check real quick because I don't know if the person that pushed this has pulled back, but we also do need to be aware of just people posting shit that's not true on the left, where they said like the kid was Liam Ramos.
I got so mad at that.
I think
that part of that was hugely pushed on Twitter was from Krasenstein, one of the Krasenstein brothers, which is the same one. Fuck the Krasensteins around Super Bowl. They should have their phone taken away at Super Bowl, okay? Because the Krasensteins were the ones who posted, well, some of you will be rooting for this team or that team. I'm going to be rooting for Robert Mueller in the rule of law. Remember that shit? Back when everyone thought Robert Mueller was going to be the one to take down Trump? Like, the Krasensteins have this, like, weird thing. They were already banned from Twitter years ago. Elon brought them back. But they weren't the only place I saw that. I saw it all over Threads. I saw it all over the place where people were saying that Liam Ramos was the child that Bad Bunny handed the Grammy to. Yeah. He was not. It was a child actor who was a stand-in for Bad Bunny himself. Like, they were watching it on an old television. They were watching Bad Bunny win a Grammy as an adult on an old television. He was dressed like clothes from the late 80s, early 90s because he was handing the Grammy to himself as a child. And the message of the show was, believe in yourself and look what you can do. And we can all do this together, because hate isn't as strong as love. And instead, all these people, again, it would have been a great narrative if it had been. Liam Ramos was a child in the Blue Bunny hat that was kidnapped by ICE and then held in the Dilley concentration camp longer. He was in prison longer than anyone in the Epstein files. That wasn't named Ghislaine Maxwell. Anyway, it would be a great narrative. However, what you guys need to understand is that Liam Ramos and his family are currently basically in hiding from the state. I don't believe that they're allowed to leave Minnesota right now or Texas. I don't know exactly where they are, but like they're actively trying to deport that child. So putting him on national television, like, it's not his job to be a prop. It's the same with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Like, he wasn't in this because also they're not Puerto Rican. Like, that's the other thing too. I was like, there was a moment there I was like, this is what I can only describe as like the most suburban lib racism I could fucking imagine. This is like when people whisper Mexican. You know what I mean? Like, it's that level of, because they're like, we're like, oh, but isn't he Mexican? You're like, you don't need a recipe. It's a nationality. It's that same thing. It drives me fucking crazy. It's the Stephanie McMahon crinkled nose, gracias meme. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, for me, it was a big thing of just, I don't know. Anytime I see people go mimicking things that I see on the right, where they're like, but like it's not true, but like it feels like it is. And I'm like, that's not a winning argument. You're just giving people ammo to say that people on the left are putting out fake information.
Yeah, I saw influencer and content creators on the left that ran with it immediately because it felt good. Again, it felt good. I understood the feeling immediately, and I immediately went, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I was looking, bouncing between the photos. I was like, I don't think that's the same kid.
No, but also it's one of those things that if it had been the same kid, there would have been a fucking press release immediately, and we would have seen and like some org would have been like, that was him. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things on there. There was a moment during the halftime special when they passed all the people, like they're in front of the pink house and they're passing. My wife and I had two violently different reactions. My wife went, oh my God, there she is. I said, yeah, Jessica Alba. She was like, no, Cardi B, you fucking idiot. And then later she was like, oh my God, that is Jessica Alba. And I was like, yeah, I will never not notice Honey Daniels. That is the original Susan Storm from the Fantastic Four. I will always pause on her.
When that moment happened, I go, oh, there's Cardi B. And my wife goes, no, it's not. And I was like, I'm not going to randomly say that woman is Cardi B unless I'm 100% sure.
Yeah, and then Pedro Pascal was just in the background. You know who I didn't notice was Alex Earl was in there because I still don't know what she's famous for besides, I guess, being cute. I don't know. I like
that you say that, like, historically that hasn't been a thing.
I know, but I'm just like, what's the second thing? You could be attractive, but what's your second thing?
Well, that's we're proof of it. It's what it sets you up to have a podcast.
Oh, okay. Does she have a podcast? I don't know.
I think so. I think a lot of those TikTokers got podcasts, and I don't know if they're still around, but some of them are good. Some of them are stupid. I like the, what is it? Oh my gosh, I forget his name. It's like Pussy something, but he's, that's the worst way I can say it. He's a funny dude. Octopussy? That doesn't make it better.
No, yeah, he'd be like, what's up, you octopus? No, it's not an octopussy. No, it's not that.
No, that's a movie. Oh no! I gotta search. I'm so scared. I'm searching pussy TikToker.
Yeah, Google that.
No, that's not it. He's a very nice gay gentleman. I saw him doing yoga with Glenn Powell. Jake Shane. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, producer Ben, for talking in my ear.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was amazing.
This is how I also can tell that I'm getting older, because the early version of the Philip DeFranco show, we would have been talking about Jake Shane. We would have been talking about all these things that gives me, like, when he has a guest on and podcast. But these are people that I've become aware of through TikTok that I'm like, oh, well, and these are, but
that's the thing. But this is the thing also with the algorithms in general. And again, which we touched on a little bit earlier with the halftime special, which is, for some people, Jake Shane is huge. I only know Jake Shane because I didn't even know he had a podcast. I only know of him because I would see people be like, oh, do an impersonation of like this esoteric thing, like water discovering soda exists type of deal.
Thank God I'm not a psycho. Okay, his handle is Octopus Lover 8.
Yes. Yes.
I was like, what am I thinking
knew what you were talking about. But yeah, now as I'm talking about algorithms, I'm sure many people were like, I think Phil DeFranco just called a gay man a pussy.
Yeah,
like,
I had my my RuPaul. Oh my God, what is that bit on Fallon?
Drag queen.
Yeah, and Jimmy Fallon just looks horrified. I'm like,
yeah. Well, that's our show. We're gonna end it right here with Phil DeFranco
just seeing his career pass in front of his eyes.
Pass in front of his eyes.
It's over.
And his editors not save him. No, I think last thing...
It's very possible. I was like, what I've found through the years is that I have like one or two people, if they don't catch it, that they have like their finger on the pulse. Even like they'll be like, actually...
there was a moment. There actually was a moment very recently on TikTok of so with this Trump thing that we were just talking about, with Trump posting the picture of the Obamas as gorillas. There is a TikToker named Soups. He does a lot of stuff around, like, I think it's mostly around like superhero movies and like content and stuff like that. He came across this video, and it was from one of the DC CW shows where these time travelers go back in time, and this guy Gorilla Grodd, who's a villain from The Flash, goes back in time to capture Barack Obama when he was going to school in Chicago. And so it's a video of Gorilla Grodd, a famous DC supervillain, attacking a very young Barack Obama. It just happened to be timed that he put it out near the same time or something along that, or maybe the algorithm brought it back up, but it became like a controversy on TikTok of people calling him racist because of the timing. But again, it's also one of those things that's always driven me crazy about short form, is that there are no built-in timestamps of when anything's posted. So oftentimes, and this is a big thing that's always driven me nuts, you kind of have to go, sometimes I remember to put timestamps on, sometimes I don't. You have to often go to the comments to see when the comments are posted on there. And this is a thing that happened like with the murder of Renee Good and also with the murder of Alex Pearlman, where we had these moments on TikTok where people were talking about ICE agents killing somebody, and then you realize, oh, they're talking about the last one. And it's the same thing in this case, where it's like he posted this video, and then because Obama's gorilla becomes the meta that becomes trending, the algorithm reaches out there and grabs anything like that. It doesn't matter if it's from years ago. It doesn't matter if it's from 2 weeks ago or any of these different things. It gets dragged up. And so that was one of those type of things that kind of happen. And it's just a thing that you have to look out for more on the short form ones than on any other place.
When producer Ben sent me that link of We Are Chinese or whatever, that was my feed for like 40 minutes. I felt like I had to actively scrub my feed, like I was cleaning my kitchen to get things back to normal.
Yeah, because there's a meme about people turning Chinese or whatever because of they're getting more into Chinese culture.
Yeah.
Right.
But then he was like, he said he sent it to mess up my feed, and I was like, that's a whole different level of trolling I didn't even think about.
Well, that's the thing I've discovered that's happening, especially with some of these apps. If you share anything, it becomes your entire app. Mm-hmm. And I think that's particularly what's happening with Clavicular. Because I think people are, and I don't want to keep bringing him up, but I think his name is a virus. His name is a virus completely. And what it is basically if you say his name, he shows up in your SEO, because then the algorithms start to believe like, oh, you watched this thing and it was about him. But then in the case of this jester gooning and all this other different stuff, these weird terms they're using, people are sharing it to their friends being like, do you understand what any of this shit means? And then your feed goes, oh, so you care about that. I'm going to share more of these things to you. And then before you know it, your entire feed is just
Here,
that.
let's read some of these. This is how we're going to go out on this insanity.
We're going to jester goon together.
Clavicular was mid-gestergooning when a group of foids came and spiked his cortisol levels. Is ignoring the foids while muncing and mogging moids more useful than SMV Chad fishing in the club? Which is, I think, we should ask that during the primaries. Do you want
me to translate that?
I don't know. I'm so scared. There were so many words in there. I was like, did I accidentally say a slur? I don't know what's happening.
So foids is part of, just so people know, that's like femoids is kind of, it's like a shortening because they're taking like humanoids, the idea that women aren't really people. And it's, again, tied into the whole NPC level of stuff, the non-player characters. And so it's a way to dehumanize people even more. And it reminds me a lot of like when Ferengis say female on Deep Space Nine.
Well, isn't clavicular, I think, might have to, even though the only thing I ever see is like just weird psychotic clips where they're like, he's like, the reason I'm not going to vote for JD Vance and I would vote for Newsom is because he starts talking about like percentages and bone structure and stuff. But I think he would actually be our main op because his whole thing is to essentially have no reaction to anything because that is a cortisol spike. And we have a podcast called Crashing Out where we scream.
Yeah. That might be it. Yeah. Is cortisol, is that the same as is that part of like adrenaline? I don't even know what cortisol spike means.
You would know this if you were not so busy.
I'm not in the gym bro thing.
You weren't jester gooning.
I wasn't jester gooning. I'm not looking that up.
Cortisol is a steroid hormone that your adrenal glands, the glands on top of your kidneys, make. Cortisol affects several aspects of your health. It helps regulate your body's response to stress. High or low levels of cortisol can impact your health.
Got it.
Yeah. Got it. So I think his whole thing is like it's a stress hormone. So if you let shit get to you, that it's gonna make you uglier. Which is crazy because who knew Kid Rock was so stressed?
Hey, it's crazy. I've never been more stressed in all my life, and I feel great because I'm out here. What are they doing? Looks maxing.
You're looks maxing. That's what I mean. I've gotten some.
You've been looks
DMs.
Maxing.
I've gotten some DMs recently where people are using this language, and I'm like, stay away from me. I'm getting fit to fight fascists. I'm not. I'm staying fit. I'm staying fit to outlast the fascists. I'm staying fit to see all the people I detest die from natural causes, and so I can experience the feelings that I feel while not tweeting how I feel.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So you're lib maxing.
I'm lib maxing. Hey.
Yeah.
Is that how I'm gonna get you on a hike? I'm like, it's not a hike. We're lib maxing.
No, we're lib maxing. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I hope everybody listened to this entire episode while walking on a treadmill at the minimal. And if you're like, hey, I already treadmill enough, then 90 minutes Stairmaster. Restart the show.
Dude, different machine. Stairmaster makes me feel like a weakling. I can do a nice little hot girl incline walk.
Yeah, that's your deal. Nice.
Used to be. That's actually how it all started. Like me losing all my weight. Oh yeah, because it's a lot easier, especially like when you're.
I like an elliptical. I'm an elliptical girly. That's me.
You just exist in the 80s and 90s. I think that's what it is.
I like an elliptical. All right, I hop on it. I feel good. It feels like I'm riding a standing bike. If that's the best way I could put it. And then like when I watch the paddles, like where like the arm things, like go past, that feels great. But when you really are like, I feel like I'm power skiing.
What you're doing there, it's doing the opposite of selling the elliptical. But guys, I want to say thank you so much.
Nordic track. Bring back Nordic track.
Thank you guys so much for lib maxing with us for the past about an hour and a half. Love you faces. Thank you so much for being a part of another Wednesday Crashing Out. And any final thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, I refuse to scan my face to message someone on Discord. That's the craziest thing I've heard. And I'm sure we'll be talking more about that next week. I feel like that's going to come up more. Beyond that, everybody, have a good time. While we've been recording this, Howard Lutnick is being asked directly, did you, in fact, visit Epstein's private island? Oh, boy. Maybe we'll talk about that next week or not. Make sure you like, subscribe, give us those 5 stars across everything else, and we look forward to your comments as always. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.